Chapter 13. The Queen. I could feel her power. This was her world. These were all her slaves. More than slaves. They had no will of their own. I knew who I was again, but I felt weak and pathetic. I was unable to control the termite body I was in. That body belonged to her. She had orders for me. Protect the egg-carrying worker termites. The orders came in smells and vague feelings, but they were impossible to refuse. "Rachel," I called. "Marco, Axe." It was Rachel's thought-speak voice. Oh no. No. "Rachel, it's the Queen. She's controlling you," I said. "I can't. My body, it just... Marco, can you hear me? Marco." "She's got me. I can't say no. I can't stop," he cried in an anguished response. My own body motored away on its 6 legs. I fell in a step behind 2 workers. Each was carrying one of the gooey, precious eggs. I had to protect them. There might be enemies. We walked along the grotesque length of the Queen, toward her head. Ants, they were the enemy. Sometimes they came. Sometimes they poured down the tunnels looking for the eggs to carry them off for food. Sometimes they attacked the Queen herself. The soldiers fought them. The soldiers sometimes died fighting them. "The Queen," Rachel's voice said. "The only way... destroy the Queen." It was like an electric jolt in my mind. Get rid of the Queen, yes. The only way. They wouldn't be expecting that. There would be no one to stop me. But my body was not my own. I could not make it. The 2 workers plodded along before me. I could feel their hind ends with my feelers, and I knew the Queen's head was just to my right, just a ½ inch, less. The Queen's head, feelers, eyes, like an ant. One chance. Focus. I had to trick the termite mind. I had to draw on every ounce of my strength. If I failed, I would live out the rest of my life as a mindless slave of the termite Queen. "Now, do it! Do it now!" I swerved right. It was like moving through molasses. The Queen had ordered me to go after the workers, and I was disobeying. "Ant! Ant!" I screamed the word in my own head. "Ant! Destroy! Destroy! Destroy the ant!" I clambered over a ½ termites who were tending the Queen. I could feel my will weakening. I couldn't get rid of the Queen. I had to kill an ant. That was my purpose, to keep ants away from the Queen. I scampered toward the Queen's head. I felt my antennae touch her. I opened my massive pincer jaws. Termites ran around insanely. They were racing, out of control, lost, confused. For a moment, I did the same. The Queen was gone. I think in some way I wanted to forget who I was, what I had done. I wanted to become one of the lost, panicked termites. "We're free! We're out! Cassie, where are you? Get out of there!" I heard a far-off voice cry. Was it Axe? Marco? Rachel? "Demorph!" I cried with my last shred of control. "No! Cassie, no!" a voice screamed in my head. "You're inside a piece of wood!" "Demorph!" I screamed again. "Human! I wanted to be human again. Let me be human. Let me out of this place, out of this body." I grew. Walls pressed in around me. I filled the tunnel. I couldn't grow anymore. Trapped. Pain. Nothing but pain. I was a swollen, vast termite, larger than any Queen. Huge. I couldn't grow anymore, and I couldn't stop. I was trying to become human again, to fit a human body into a space no bigger than the inside of a walnut. Then, explosion! The walls opened up, splinters, Fresh air ran across my hard termite skin. My head was free of the wood and growing, but my body was still trapped, squeezing with terrible pain. I had eyes now. They could see, but only dimly. I was still tiny, and in the air above me, a huge blade as long as a passenger jet slashed downward. The wood splintered again, and my body was free. I grew and grew. Arms, legs, my own head. I was on my knees on a wooden floor. Marco and Rachel stood over me. Axe had used his tail to slice open the wood. They had all escaped the colony. They had demorphed. It was dark in the room, but there were glowing red and green indicator lights. And there was a computer monitor showing neat screensaver triangles floating and reforming. "Are you okay?" Rachel asked. She bent down and put her hand on my shoulder. I gave her a hug. Then, just as suddenly, I pushed her away. "Let me go! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me!" Rachel was on me in a flash. She clamped her hand over my mouth. Marco grabbed my ankles and held them still. "Cassie," Rachel hissed. "Shut up! We're inside the Yerk building. We're in a side room. But we can hear people in the next room." I was beyond caring. I struggled and fought and tried to scream. "Axe, whatever you can do with that computer, do it," Marco whispered urgently. Rachel and Marco held me pinned against the floor, and slowly, very slowly, my bunched muscles relaxed. I stopped fighting. "Are you okay now?" Rachel asked. Okay? I would never be okay again. But I nodded my head anyway. Rachel took her hand away from my mouth. "It's over, Cassie," Marco said. "You saved us. It's over. And we have other problems now." "I'm fine," I said. "I'm fine." But my skin was crawling. Evil, terrible memories were crowding in on me. "I have access," Axe said. "Accessing. Marco or Rachel, I need a human to help me understand the meaning of what I am seeing here." Marco climbed up off the floor. Rachel stayed with me. She was stroking my hair, like my mom would have done if I had a nightmare. It was hard to think of Rachel as being nurturing, but she did the right thing. I heard sounds in the next room, human voices, and Hork-Bajir speaking their weird mix of their own native tongue and human speech they learned for duty on Earth. "Some kind of commission," Marco mused, looking at the computer screen. 3 members. They vote on what happens to the forest. They decide if the logging can go forward. "Dapsen Lumber Company," Axe said. "That's what the Yerks call this logging company. Very funny." "What's funny?" Marco asked. "Dapsen. It's a Yerkish word that means... Well, never mind what it means. It isn't polite." "Look at this document," Marco whispered. "Preliminary permission to examine feasibility of..." "Hey, the Yerks don't have final permission to begin logging. There's this commission that still has to decide. 3 people. 1 has already said yes. Probably a controller. 1 has voted definitely no. There's 1 guy left. Some guy named Ferrand." "Yikes!" "What yikes?" Rachel asked. "Yikes, as in he's coming for a visit to check the scene," Marco said. "End of the week. Then he'll vote. If that guy votes yes, the Yerks are in business and we're in trouble." "He'll vote yes," Marco said darkly. "I'm afraid that is true," Axe agreed. "The Yerks will make him a controller." "Not if we stop them," Marco said. "One thing at a time. We need to get out of here," Rachel said. "And we're not going back out the way we came." No one argued with that. "I am making a slight change in the programming that may let me access this computer from Marco's home computer. and I can temporarily shut down the defenses from this computer, Axe said. But there are still guards outside, and Hork-Bajir in the next room. Yeah, we'll have to move fast, Rachel said. Cassie, can you morph? Can you morph the wolf? I'll stay right beside you the whole time. Could I morph? The very idea made me sick. But even in my quaking fear, I knew anything was better than going back down to that termite colony. 5 minutes later, Axe turned off the outer defenses, and we ran from that building. I guess the Yeerks counted on their high-tech defenses too much. Without them, no one even shouted an alarm. By sheer dumb luck, we raced between the paths of 2 controller guards. No one yelled. No one fired a shot. We ran into the woods where Jake joined up with us. No one said much on the way home. Chapter 14. My parents expected me to be at Rachel's house. Her parents expected her to sleep over at my house. My house was easier to sneak into, so that's where we went. It was almost dawn by the time we demorphed. We crept through my dark living room and up to my room, trying not to make the stairs squeak. I loaned Rachel a big flannel shirt. She grabbed a blanket and a pillow and simply fell down on the floor beside my bed. I think she was asleep before she landed. I crawled into my bed, my own familiar bed. The sheets were cool. The comforter was my comforter. I belonged here. This was my place. And yet, nothing seemed familiar. The shadows cast by dim starlight on the walls, the shapes of shirts and overalls hung from the big hooks on the walls, the bindings of books I'd read right here in this room. None of it seemed real. I closed my eyes and then opened them quickly. How could it be? How could I remember what that chamber looked like? What the termite queen looked like when I had had no eyes? But still, I remembered it all. I saw the chamber dug from the rotted wood by hundreds of workers, and I saw the huge queen. I felt my pincers. I hadn't just destroyed her. I had destroyed the entire colony. I had done it to save myself and my friends. I wanted to throw up, but I would have had to get out of bed to run to the bathroom, and I felt like I never wanted to leave that bed again. I love animals. I have been raised all my life around them. I love nature. But what did I really know about it? I have been more animals than many people ever see in a lifetime. I have flown with the wings of an osprey. I have raced through the ocean in the body of a dolphin. I've seen the world through the eyes of an owl at night, and smelled the wind with all the keen senses of a wolf. I've flown upside down and backwards in the body of a fly. Sometimes I go out into the far fields at night and become a horse and run through the grass. And everything I've been, every animal, is either killer or killed. In a million battles all around the world, on every continent, in every square inch of space, there was killing. From the great cats in Africa that cold-bloodedly search out the young and weak gazelles, to the terrible wars that are fought out in anthills and termite colonies. All of nature was at war. And, at the top of all that destruction, humans killed each other as well as other species. And now those same people have been enslaved and destroyed by the Yeerks. Nature at its finest. Cute, cuddly animals who slaughtered to live. The color of nature wasn't green. It was red. Blood red. I realized tears were running down my cheeks and soaking my pillow. I would have cried out loud, but I didn't want Rachel to wake up. I would have screamed, but my parents would have come running. And what could I have told them? Lies. More lies. Because in my world, I too was prey. The Yeerks were hunting me. I was scared. I was alone. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. And then I thought of the lost skunk kits. Unlovable little creatures to most people. But they were scared and alone too, if they were still alive. Chapter 15. I guess I fell asleep eventually because I dreamed. It wasn't a nightmare, though. It wasn't even about the termite world. I was a mother. In my dream, I was a mother looking for her babies. I searched everywhere, even though I was hurt and in pain. At last I found them, and, in my dream, they snuggled next to me. When I woke up, the dream quickly evaporated, but it left behind a feeling of peace. The sun was high in the sky. It was 10:15 in the morning. Late. Rachel had already showered and dressed. "I can't believe you slept so well," Rachel grumbled. "I had a seriously bad nightmare. Look, I gotta get home. Are you okay?" "Sure," I said, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. "I mean, last night and all. It wasn't like I was having some kind of breakdown or anything. It just, it creeped me out." "Tell me about it," Rachel agreed. "But it's really no big deal, if you think about it, Cassie. Termites get killed all the time. They were just termites. Bugs." "Yeah." She left. I don't know if she just had to get home, or if I made her uncomfortable. Rachel isn't usually a huggy kind of person. Having to treat me like a baby probably gave her the willies. My mom was at work. My dad was off somewhere, I guess, because his truck was gone. I made some toast and drank some orange juice. Then I ate a piece of leftover veggie pizza. I felt restless and weird, like I was on the edge of something, like life had gotten unbalanced since the day before. "Rachel's right," I said out loud, just to hear a voice. "They're bugs, termites, and besides, I got away in the end." I walked outside to feel the sun on my skin, my human skin. Without really thinking much about it, I went into the barn to the refrigerator we used to store perishable food for the animals. I took out a frozen grasshopper and stuck it in my pocket, and then I headed toward the edge of the forest. "Hey, Cassie," a thought-speak voice said as I crunched noisily through the woods. "What's going on?" I looked up and saw Tobias go skimming by. He flared, turned on a dime, and landed on a branch. He dug his ripping talons into the soft bark. "Not much," I said. "I heard it was pretty bad last night." "Yeah? Who'd you talk to?" "Axe. Who else? He was definitely weirded out by the whole thing." I stopped walking. It was something in the way he said "weirded out." "Tobias, who else did you talk to?" "Maybe Marco?" he said. "And Marco told you I went nuts, right?" Actually, the word he used was insane, also Looney Tunes, and wacko. But he meant it all in the nicest possible way. I laughed bitterly. "Well, I guess I did go a bit wacko," I said. "Welcome to the club," Tobias said. "None of us is going to come through all this completely normal. You know that. Too much fear." "Well, I'm pretty sick of it," I said. "I had to destroy the termite queen. I know she was just a bug, but who am I to decide that it's okay to kill one animal and not another? Here I am, the big earth mother, tree hugger, animal lover, as Marco would say, and when it gets down to it, I'm just like..." "Just like me?" Tobias asked. "Just like any predator," I said lamely. "You feel bad because you had to kill the queen in order to survive." "I shouldn't have been there. It's their world, not mine. Those little tunnels and a rotten piece of wood, that's their whole universe. I invaded it. And when they got in the way, I reacted. Who does that remind you of?" "Look, you are not a yerk. And termites are not human beings, Tobias said. There's no comparison. I didn't bother arguing. Look, I have to morph. There's something I need to do. What? I sighed. It's something stupid, alright? There's this mother skunk we have who's injured. She has a litter of kits who are going to die. I think I know where they are, more or less, but I can't get there walking like a human. For a moment, Tobias said nothing. Skunk kits? Near the edge of the Yerk logging compound? Yes. I can show you where they are. For a frozen moment of time, I refused to understand what he just said. I didn't want to think of why a red-tailed hawk, would know the exact location of a litter of skunk babies. I took a couple of deep breaths. I tried to keep my voice level. Are they still alive? There are 4 still alive, Tobias said. I felt an emotion I don't feel very often. I felt it boiling up inside of me. I glared furiously at him, at the ripping talons, at the nastily curved beak. I could picture the scene in my mind, the way he would have swooped down, raked those talons forward, snatched the defenseless kit off the ground, and I was shaking. I laced my fingers together just to stop them from trembling. I'm going to save what's left of them, I said. My voice didn't sound like my voice. I'll help you, Tobias said.